Hey everyone, this is me, the Undead Viking, and this is Clash of Rage. Clash of Rage is a 2 to 4 player game in which each person is running a fantasy army that are rebelling against their elvish overlords. Yes, the elves are the bad guys in this game, which I think is awesome. I'm so tired of elves always being these, like, powers for good, and oh, we're so above all this conflict. I just, you know, I remember I made a D&D campaign specifically to make the elves the bad guys. It was great having my players just like running into elven towns and ransacking them and stuff like that. But anyway, regardless, it's cool. The elves are the bad guys, right? And so each of these clans, these groups that each player is going to run, they want to take, you know, control back, and they want to take the elves' spot. So they have to take over these elvish cities, take over the elvish furnaces, use the elvish crystals, which they've used to create these fantastic pieces of armor and weapons and what have you, and use those for themselves to create these legendary items. It is a very, it's kind of like a war game, I guess, really light, I guess, as far as war games go. But you're going to have 3 different types of units. You're going to recruit those units. You're going to have heroes that you can purchase, like mercenaries, if you will. And you're going to do battle with the elves on the board. And inevitably, you're going to end up on each other's throats as well, because there can be only one of you that is going to win the game. So let me show you how Clash of Rage is played. It is relatively simple, but it has some cool things going on. And then we'll come back here, and I will give you my final thoughts. All right, cool. Alright, so this is Clash of Rage, and I've gone ahead and set up a 4-player game. Now, these tiles, you can see they're rather large and hexagonal, if you will. You use one for each player, and you do get an extra one, so you can kind of mix and match, if you will, which I kind of like. I always like having extra things, so you can the game kind of maintains its freshness, if you will. And after you place the 4 tiles down, you're going to place elven units, because elves are the bad guys, remember? Elven units are going to place 4 on each elven city, looks like this, and 2 on each elven forge, which looks like that. Now, you can place random elves, which I've done here, or you can place specific levels of elves on each spot. I kind of enjoy the chaotic aspect of it, you know, just putting on the random stuff, if you will. And it seems to work for me, and I think it's more fun that way, but you can do however you like. Now, I'm just going to give you, this is the Elvish playing board. The Elves, you're going to be fighting them. When you fight the Elves, the person that sits to your right is going to take all the actions for them. The Elves have, like, you know, this is their stats, if you will. The dice, or like this little thing here, like the little cross swords, that's their combat value, and that's how many dice you roll. Now, it's going to be a little different from what you probably are expecting. Usually in games like this, where you have, you know, lots of monsters fighting each other, you have, like, you total up the total number of attack value, if you will, of the entire group, and then you roll like a big bucket full of dice, right? In this game, you just take whatever creature on the side has the most dice, you just roll that. So if you had one of each and no other modifiers, you'd roll 5 dice, because this elf was fighting in it. So that's how that works. Now, I'm going to show you lots, like there's a player board for each of the players as well, and you're going to see a lot of these icons, if you will. Obviously, the hearts here is the health of the unit as they take damage. You know, if they take their health damage, then they're removed from the game. There are no, like, damage counters for creatures, so you have to do the full amount of damage or you just don't take it out. And then you have, like, this skull here that basically gives them an automatic hit. You notice the dice over there have those little skulls on them, same thing as these. So that's an automatic hit when you do it. Any symbol like this gives you a reroll. So, like, you reroll your misses, obviously. Over here you have a shield. Shields absorb a hit, if you will. And the hourglass here helps determine initiative in combat. So when 2 sides fight, whoever has the least number of hourglasses gets to go first. And obviously going first is usually a major advantage in any combat. Alright, so the players, and I have set up one thing a little ahead of time. The players have these Stronghold Tiles, and those are where your units are going to start. I've placed those already. Technically speaking, you aren't going to put those on there until you determine the initiative for the first round of the game. But I've just put them out there just to get the game set up. So, and technically also, the first round of the game, you don't take like the first action, if you will, of the game, which is to outfit the elves. You will notice that there's this little marker here with a hand, little marker here with armor. Now, the first round of the game, you don't do this, but every round thereafter, the elves are going to get tougher. What's going to happen is you're going to draw these equipment cards, and I'll talk more about the equipment cards a little bit, and you're going to draw one for each type of elf, and you're going to outfit them with the item. So here so the Sparkling Guard would get this, this little dagger, if you will, this partisan dagger that gives them an extra, power, an extra die, and also gives them a shield. So that makes them tougher. So obviously getting to the elves first and early is going to work better because they're going to grow more powerful as the game goes on. Now, you actually will replace these if you actually draw an item that is more has greater value. So like if the next time you drew for the Sparkling Guard, you drew this blunderbuss, the blunderbuss is worth 9 versus the partisan 8, so you would replace that, if you will. So it actually continue to upgrade if as the game progresses. So it's kind of a neat little aspect. I do like how the elves get tougher as the game moves forward. I think it's a neat aspect of the game. Alright, so each player gets their player board. This is the Army of the Tomb, the Bohorg tribe, the Steam Field Barony, and the Godleaf clan. Now, I do like the fact that they've kind of gone away from the classics as far as the fantasy races, if you will. I mean, admittedly, undead, are fairly common, but I do, like the necromonks. Normally, when you fight undead, it's like, oh, there's a lich that runs it, and there's like skeletons and zombies, whatever. So, but you have this like the carcass, the necromonk, and the moorlord, and I think this is supposed to be like frost giants. I'm guessing is my impression, which I think is pretty cool. The Bohorg tribe. Probably some sort of orcish type of thing, and obviously like some. Let me find the humans, of course. Some steampunky, human race, if you will. There are the kind of thing that I was going to show you here is, once again, you have the hearts. It tells you how much strength, or how many hits it takes to take them out. They have another stat here, and that's how many spaces they can move on the board. And also they'll list off how many of each that you have. So you have 6 Berserkers, 5 Valkyries, and 3 Housecarls. Whereas they have 10 Carcasses, 6 Necromonks, and 3 Moorlords. So each person's going to have that. And you'll notice that they have the little hand here and the armor there. You're going to be able to buy equipment as the game progresses from the market over there. So, and you'll be able to improve, the powers that you have. Now, each race is going to get their tactics cards. They get 7 of these tactics cards. And every turn, every round of the game, you're going to draw the top 3 of these cards, and you're going to pick one to use for that round. And these cards are going to have this big giant number here. They're going to tell you what reinforcements you get. Reinforcements enter the game either on your stronghold or another location where you have a unit. So keep that in mind. And then they have these coins on the bottom telling you how many coins you're going to get that are going to be used to either hire heroes or purchase items for your units. So you're going to look at these and you're going to decide which ones you want. So you want to and the number here determines what turn order you go in. So this one's really nice. You get 10 coins, you get 3, 3, and 1 as far as you get a ton of reinforcements, but it's a 95, which is really, really late in the round. Whereas here you get 6, you get 12 coins, but you don't get any of the middle ones, and you get 6, of the weakest and 1 strongest, but you're going to go early. So you're going to pick whichever one you think is cool, and you're going to put that face down. Everybody reveals it at the same time, and then you have your turn order. So you put your reinforcements on the board, and then you're going to take your first action. And your first action is either going to be to move or to equip your troops. So moving is simple. I'm just going to, I'll just throw a couple of these units on here. So like let's just, you know, him, and let's put a couple of peons with him. So, and so on your turn, you're just going to look at how far each of those creatures can move. And so like the Berserkers can move 3, the Valkyries can move 3, and the Housecarls can move 2. So maybe you move your Housecarl 2 over to this stone here that'll allow you, and I'll talk about this in a little bit. I'm getting a reinforcement stone here, and then maybe you move all of the other ones over to this location to fight these 2 elves to maybe take over this furnace. Now, a couple of things I'm going to mention. You notice that there's these rocks here and here. There's rocks here. There's rocks here. Those are impassable. You can't go over there unless you have a unit that has flying. So just keep that in mind as far as that is concerned. So if you do a move, that's it. That's your entire turn. However, if you end up in the same spot as another unit, you have to stay there and fight. Now, I should mention a couple things. These 2 would have to stop because they got here and there was 2 units there. Now, if for whatever reason, maybe I wanted to get them over to this other reinforcement stone, because these 2 have already been, you know, have used up those units like attention, if you will, I can move another unit through there instead. But if there was 2 and I had 1, when this guy goes in there, he has to stop because of the fact that they're preventing. This is like a flanking situation where the next one can go through, if you will. Now, obviously, I want to keep that. I want to have my Valkyrie in there to fight because, you know, I want my best chance to win that battle. But you can move through if that's the case. So everybody takes their turn. If you're going to purchase an item, it's pretty simple. You just pay the coins and you get the item, and then you equip your unit with it. And now forever, like if you got this blunderbuss and you gave it to the Valkyries like so, for the rest of the game, the Valkyries are going to have this blunderbuss unless you replace it with something. And you're going to, you know, have like, you know, that process, and you're going to you know, gain that bonus, if you will, for them for every time they're in combat. The same thing goes for if you put armor on. Same thing. You just, and so your units get those abilities. If you take a card and there's no cards underneath it over here, then you replace it with a card from the top. So if you bought this blunderbuss, you just replace it with that partisan card. You'll notice that when I dealt out the 6 cards for the market, I actually got a lot of these plate armors. That's part of the game. So if you replace, you have to keep stacking them up, meaning those plate armors aren't going to go away, and that spot isn't going to open up until everybody has bought one of those plate armors. So, and also, if like you purchase this, and the next card you drew was a plate armor, you'd put it on top of there, and you'd keep drawing until, there we go, until you had an item that didn't exist already in the shop. And so that's how you maintain having 6 in that area. All right, so I'll talk about combat here in just a little bit. I just want to tell you of the rest of the turn. So the next phase is reinforcements. If you have a control of a spot that has a reinforcement, there's a yellow one over here, blue one, and a red one. You get to add a unit. If you have access to the yellow, you get your weakest unit. If you have access to the blue, you're going to get your middle unit. And if you have red, so let's just say they had red over here, you're going to get your toughest unit as a reinforcement in that location. So, you know, that's the reinforcement stones obviously are a really good way for you to, you know, to be able to gain more units without having to use a tactics card to do so. All right, so one other thing. At the beginning of your turn, like the whole game is to earn victory points, right? And so you get a victory point for controlling an elven city. But if you lose control of that elven city, then you automatically lose that victory point. You get other victory points by forging legendary items, which is this legendary item deck. You forge them by having crystals, and you get crystals by controlling an elven city at the beginning of a turn. You get an income of 3 crystals. Now then, if you own a forge, one forge, you can make a legendary item for 6 crystals. If you own 2 forges, you could make a legendary item for 3 crystals. And for every forge you control, you get to draw that many cards off the legendary item deck and then pick one, and then you put the rest back in the deck. So if you paid, and you can't ever reduce the price lower than 3 crystals. So if you own 3, it isn't free. But if you have like three forges, you would take 3 of these legendary items, 1, 2, 3, like so. And because you control 3 forges, you look here. So do I want heroic armor, robe of the archmage, infernal armor? So I'll go with, you know, robe of the archmage because I like that little eye thing. So you take that and you put the other 2 back in the deck, and it's a good idea to shuffle it at that point. That's how we played it, just so you know, you don't know what the next time is. So then you'd equip this as normal, you know, as you always would. So like there's other things in here too, like, you know, here's an astral shield, a fire hail caster, rotting blade. And I should mention that you can't really lose these. Here, the celestial armor gives you the power of flight, which is obviously great. You can't lose the points you're going to get from making the legendary items, because you can't lose the items. They can't be stolen from you. So the only victory points you can lose are the ones that you would lose for losing control of a city. All right, so combat works very, very simple. You determine whoever is going to be the first player. So in this, and if it's tied, then the tie goes to the defender. And so we have in here one of the high deans, which is like their priests, if you will, and then we have one of the sparkling guards, and then I have 2 of my berserkers, and I have 1 Valkyrie. So none of us, here if you look, none of us have any hourglasses on the units that are in the battle. So then it is tied as far as initiative. If they had one of these Templars, they would have had 1 hourglass, so then I would have gone first. But in this situation, since it's all tied, the defenders are going to go first. So then now you're going to look and see who has the most dice. So here we go. They're going to have 4 dice, and they're going to have an automatic hit, and they're going to have 1 reroll. So and one of the rules about the like quasi-artificial intelligence of the elves are they automatically are going to reroll all of their failures. So we're going to roll these 4 dice and see what we get here. So I got, ooh, geez, that's not good. So I got 3 hits, and I re-rolled that one. I still got a blank. So I got 3 hits, and then I get the bonus of 1 hit right there. So that's 4 hits. So now I have to look, and so I have to do 4 hits. This stinks, because I'm going to lose 2 berserkers probably, right? Because of the fact that I have to take that damage. And so I'm going to apply it, but I could, I mean, the Valkyries get a reroll, but you know what, I want the 6 dice. So I'm going to lose my Valkyrie and my Berserker. And like so, I'm going to return those, they're dead, and now, oops, I grabbed the wrong one. So I'm going to leave that there. And now, I'm going to go ahead and roll, actually, no, I didn't grab the wrong one. Anyway, so here we go. I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dice. Now, if I got 6 hits, I'd win. I don't think I'm going to get 6 hits, but if I got 6 hits, I'd win this battle. Let's see what happens. Well, no, but I did do 3. So now the person that is controlling the elves determines which one they want to lose. And they're going to go ahead and probably get rid of this guy. So they're going to return that one there. And now I should mention that if I was fighting another player and I was fighting their units, you can decide to retreat if you don't want to have to lose all your units, right? And if you decide to retreat, then you just take all of your units and put them back on your stronghold, and you just kind of give up on that spot. So that is an option, but I'm fighting the elves. I could possibly retreat if I wanted to on my turn, but I can't retreat now after that I've done my combat. So now they're going to roll their three dice, and I'm going to hope for the best here. And they got 2 hits, so they're going to take me out. But I'm going to show you one thing out. So let's just say they didn't get, so they got 1 hit, right? And that wouldn't be enough to kill my Berserker. And let's say when I rolled, and remember they have 3 health, I got that, so I only got 2 hits. Whenever you have a round, and I should mention that the Elves would get that as well, whenever you have a round of combat where you don't actually kill one of the units, you get one of these markers. You get like kind of a rage marker, like you're getting frustrated and you're getting like battle frenzied, if you will. And basically what this does is it gives you one of these markers and it gives you an automatic hit for each time. So if you roll poorly, there is a way to kind of catch up, if you will. But in this case, I lost my unit. My unit goes back, and I'm going to have to try again next time. Or maybe somebody's going to swoop in and take it now that I've weakened that spot or whatever. So that's how combat works. Combat, just the biggest thing about combat is that you have to remember you only roll the maximum number of dice. So if there was 1 of each, you roll 5 dice. If I had 1 of each here, I'd roll 6 dice, right? But as soon as I lose the guy that has 6 dice, I would go down to like, 5 or 4. So that's the biggest thing that you have to remember about combat. One last thing, because I mentioned I was going to mention them, heroes. So you have the ability to hire heroes. And heroes cost money, and some of them, not this guy, but some of them cost crystals as well. To hire. Heroes have their own special powers, like Berwyn the Protector. He gives you a magic barrier that you place on your combat, so they have to defeat the magic barrier before it works. Rosario the Exalted, at the start of each fight, if your opponent has more units than you in the fight, you receive 2 of those little rage tokens and so forth. You get one of these heroes, and the heroes are with you for the rest of the game. They won't leave you, and they cannot be killed. They have to be with one of your units. You can't just have them running around by themselves. So they have to be with the rest of your party. But if they're ever in a combat, like if I had a hero in that combat and I had lost like I did, my hero would just go back to my stronghold and he would wait there for more reinforcements, and then he would leave out with me. So heroes are cool. They add a little extra spice to the game. And my advice to you when you play, try to get your hero as soon as you can. You don't want to be the guy that doesn't have one. So make sure you get a hero. Alright, so the game just continues until somebody has the requisite number of victory points they needed after the whole round is done. Basically, after the second action is done of the round. If you've got 4, if you're playing to 4, or 5, if you're playing to 5, if you got that many victory points, at that point the game is over, and that person has won Clash of Rage. Like I said, this is a game that I knew I was going to like, just from the looks of it, from the straightforwardness of it, and because of the fact that it doesn't last forever, right? It's a game that is quick, and it is brutal, and it is fun, and it's got enough craziness going on that I was really able to just allow myself to be kind of swept away by it, and I had a lot of fun with it. So, but let me talk more about that in my final thoughts. Alright, thank you very much for taking the time to learn how Clash of Rage is played. Now, when I saw this game, when they told me about this game, when they asked me if I wanted to do a video for it, after reading the rules and seeing it, I mean, it was one of those things where I was like, I know I'm going to like it, so just go ahead and send it to me, unless, like, the game was, like, completely screwed up or the rules didn't make sense or whatever. It was just, it's dudes on a map beating the tar out of each other, and I like that aspect of game. I just enjoy rolling a big handful of dice and counting out skulls, and seeing how much damage I do to somebody. It isn't the most, in-depth strategy, if you will, but sometimes I need to take a break from playing Yokohama or something like that, and just play something where I can just rock'em sock'em robots my friends and have fun for about an hour. And that kind of leads me into the things I like about the game, because it isn't a beat each person into the ground until they're grist for the mill type of game. It is a victory point game. So, like, if you can manage to get those 4 victory points, or whatever you decide is going to be the winning amount, it doesn't matter if you've won every battle. You just need to have those victory points that from creating those items, or for controlling those cities. I like games with reveal moments. The tactics cards are something that I really, really like about the game. The whole process of, like, which card do I take? I really need to go first, but I really don't like that card. So, like, when you turn the card over and see what everybody else picked. So I really like that aspect. And I like the fact that, like, you know, there is something to be said about rolling like 30 dice and counting them up, but I liked how combat worked because of the fact that, you know, like, each distinct, especially after you get items and you equip the items onto the different units, deciding who lives and dies, as far as like making sure, like, you know, if you still have one of like said unit that has like that is going to give you a bunch of dice, you let that one go because, you know, maybe the other unit has like a special power on it that you really want, you know, like a rage power or something like that. So there's some interesting little decisions you have to make as far as the combat goes as well. The game just looks beautiful. It is straightforward. It is fun, and I think if you like this type of game, you're really, really going to enjoy playing Clash of Rage. So there you go. If you have any questions about this, go ahead and ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. And until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. Alright, bye-bye.